Hello, English language learners. Welcome back to the Artificial Fluency Podcast. I'm Emma, and today we have a special episode for you. If you're looking to improve your English listening and writing skills, you're in the right place. In this episode, we will talk about simple things you can do every morning to make real progress in your English. As you listen to some real-life stories, you'll notice how these actions can help you understand and use English more easily. Don't forget to press the like button if you find this episode helpful. So, let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever felt like your English is not improving fast enough? Or maybe you want to sound more fluent when you speak. What if I told you that making a few small changes to your morning routine could actually make a big difference? Now, let me tell you about my friend Daniel. He used to struggle with English, especially with listening and writing. He felt frustrated because he couldn't understand people in conversations, and his writing wasn't as clear as he wanted it to be. One day, Daniel decided to make some changes to his morning routine. He started his day by listening to a short English podcast while drinking his coffee. It was just a few minutes, but it made a huge difference. Every morning, he would listen and try to repeat some phrases from the podcast. This simple habit helped him improve his listening skills because he became familiar with common expressions and sounds in English. After a couple of weeks, Daniel noticed that he could understand more when speaking with others, and his writing became more natural. He also started writing in English every morning. He would write about his plans for the day or maybe a short story. Writing in English every day helped him think in English, which made speaking easier. His confidence grew, and soon he could hold conversations without thinking too much. But why does this work? Well, the key is repetition. Just like when we learn a new song or how to play an instrument, the more you practice, the better you get. Morning routines are powerful because they set the tone for the rest of the day. If you start your morning with English, your brain is more likely to be in English mode throughout the day. Let's talk about another example. Meet Sarah. Sarah works full-time and has a busy schedule, but she also wanted to improve her English. Every morning, she would listen to a short story in English while she was getting ready for work. Afterward, she would try to write down the main points of the story, focusing on new vocabulary she learned. This small habit helped Sarah improve her listening and writing skills without taking up too much of her time. You can do the same. Even if you only have 10 or 15 minutes in the morning, you can make it count. Whether you listen to a short podcast, watch a short video, or read a few pages of a book in English, these little moments add up over time. And don't forget to write. You can write about your daily activities, thoughts, or even make up a story in English. This will help you become more comfortable with using the language in your daily life. By doing these simple things every morning, you'll not only improve your listening and writing skills, but also build a strong foundation for speaking and understanding English. Remember, it's all about consistency and making English a part of your daily routine. This morning routine can become your secret weapon for English success. If you stay committed and make these small changes, I promise you'll start noticing real progress. So why not start tomorrow? Pick a podcast, listen for 10 minutes, and write down a few things you learned. Let's see how much better you can get by the end of the week. One great way to start your day is by setting a small goal related to English. For example, let's look at my friend Tom. Tom's job requires him to write emails in English every day. However, he often struggled with writing professionally. So Tom decided to start writing a short email every morning as practice. At first, his emails were simple, but over time, he started using more complex sentences. He found that the more he practiced writing these emails, the easier it became. He could write faster, and his sentences were more natural. Tom's morning habit of Writing emails helped him focus on grammar and vocabulary. But more importantly, it helped him practice expressing his thoughts clearly in English. Writing every morning is a wonderful habit to develop, especially if you want to improve your writing skills. It doesn't need to be a long email or essay. Just a few sentences to get started, and over time, you'll see your improvement. Let's talk about another method that works well for many learners: speaking practice. You might wonder how you can practice speaking when no one is around to talk to. Well, my friend James found an excellent solution. Every morning, while he's getting ready for work, he spends a few minutes speaking to himself in English. He might describe what he's doing, like, "Now I'm brushing my teeth," or he might talk about his plans for the day. This helped James become more comfortable speaking aloud, even when he was by himself. He wasn't afraid of making mistakes because he was just practicing. Over time, speaking to himself helped him build confidence, and soon he could speak more naturally with others. Speaking in English doesn't always require a conversation partner. You can talk to yourself or practice reading aloud from a book or article. The key is consistency. When you make it a habit, you'll find yourself speaking more clearly and confidently, which is especially helpful when you need to have real conversations in English. You can also use these techniques to practice listening. Let's say you're making breakfast and you have a podcast or an English news report playing in the background. Even if you're not able to focus completely, your brain is still absorbing the language. Over time, this passive listening can help you understand more when you hear native speakers talk. It's like putting small pieces of a puzzle together until the full picture becomes clearer. And don't forget about reading. Reading is one of the best ways to improve your vocabulary and understanding of sentence structure. Start with a simple book or article in English, and try to read a chapter or a few pages each morning. You can also keep a notebook where you write down any new words or phrases you come across. By reviewing these words regularly, you'll remember them better. For example, my cousin Anna, who's an intermediate English learner, began reading a short article every morning during her breakfast. At first, she struggled with some of the vocabulary, but she didn't give up. Every day, she wrote down the new words and their meanings. After a few weeks, she realized that she was able to read more quickly and with less effort. It became easier for her to understand texts, and her vocabulary grew significantly. The great thing about reading is that it exposes you to different types of language: formal, informal, professional, or casual, which helps you improve all areas of your language skills. The more you read, the more natural your English will sound, and the better you'll be able to use new words when speaking or writing. Now let's talk about something really simple, but very powerful: setting reminders for English practice. I've seen this work wonders for many people, including my friend David. He used to forget to practice English during his busy mornings, but then he set a reminder on his phone every day. It simply said, "Spend 10 minutes practicing English." Every time the reminder went off, David knew it was time to listen to a podcast or write a quick paragraph in English. These daily reminders helped David stay on track and made it easier to form a routine. Consistency is key when it comes to improving your English. It's not about spending hours each day, but about taking small steps. One more idea is to practice your listening skills while doing other activities, like cleaning or exercising. Let's take Emily as an example. Emily loves to go for a walk every morning. She used to listen to music, but then she switched to listening to English podcasts. At first, it was a little challenging because she wasn't used to hearing natural conversations in English, but she stuck with it. After a few weeks, she noticed that she could understand more and more. She became better at identifying different accents and expressions, which helped her improve her overall listening skills. By using your time wisely, like during your morning walks, You can practice English even when you're busy with other tasks. You'll find that it's easier to understand conversations and feel more comfortable in English-speaking situations. So to sum up, here are some simple ideas for improving your English every morning. Write in English every day. Practice. Writing short emails or journaling. Speak to yourself in English. Describe your actions or talk about your plans. Listen to English during your routine. Listen to podcasts or news reports while you work. Read a little bit every morning. Choose an article or a short book to read in English. Set reminders. Make a habit of practicing English by setting daily reminders. Use time wisely. Listen to English during activities like walking, cooking, or cleaning. Each of these small changes can help you improve your listening, writing, and even speaking skills in just a few minutes every day. It's not about doing everything at once, but about staying consistent. So far, we've discussed how important it is to establish a routine for improving your English every morning. And we've looked at simple activities like writing, reading, speaking, and listening. Now let's dive even deeper and explore some other fun and engaging ways to make your English practice more effective, especially if you want to improve faster. Let me tell you about Mark, who had been learning English for a few years but was struggling with his confidence. He understood English well when he read it or heard it, but when it came time to speak, he froze. Mark knew that he needed to make speaking a part of his daily routine. So he decided to start small. Every morning, after waking up, Mark spent about 10 minutes talking to himself in English. At first it felt strange, but he didn't care. He would talk about his plans for the day or give a summary of what happened yesterday. "Today I'm going to the gym after work," Mark would say aloud while getting dressed. He would practice simple sentences, repeating them until they felt natural. You might be thinking, talking to yourself in English sounds awkward. But here's the thing. Mark found that this little habit made him more comfortable with speaking. He didn't feel the pressure of talking to a partner, so he could focus on fluency rather than perfection. Over time, he started sounding more natural and confident. It didn't matter if he was alone. He knew that this practice was helping him improve his speaking skills. So, if you want to practice speaking too, try what Mark did. Just find a few minutes in your morning routine and talk aloud to yourself. Don't worry if you make mistakes. The point is to get used to speaking in English, and the more you do it, the easier it will become. Plus, if you make a habit of it, every day you'll notice that your speaking improves naturally, just like Mark did. Now let's talk about another powerful method that helped my friend Rachel. Rachel was an intermediate learner, and while she could understand English well, she felt stuck when it came to writing. She was unsure of how to express her ideas clearly, especially in emails. Her goal was to write in a more professional and confident way. So Rachel started a new habit, writing a quick summary every morning. Every day, Rachel would choose a news article or a blog post, read it, and then write a brief summary of what she read in English. It wasn't about writing a perfect summary, but simply practicing how to put her thoughts into words. By doing this, Rachel got more comfortable with writing. She learned new vocabulary from the articles, and over time, her writing became clearer. She also learned how to structure her ideas in a more logical way. Rachel's story shows us that writing doesn't have to be complicated or long to be effective. It's about building confidence and developing the ability to express yourself in English. If you're someone who wants to improve your writing, consider starting with simple summaries or short journal entries. You can write about what you did the day before, or write a few sentences about something you learned. The more you write, the better your writing will become. Writing every day is also a great way to improve your grammar and vocabulary. When you focus on using new words, and proper sentence structure, it helps you remember them better. Plus, over time, you'll start to feel more confident when you write in English, whether it's an email, a message, or even a story. Now let's talk about how listening can be just as important as speaking or writing. A lot of English learners struggle with understanding spoken English, especially when it comes to listening to native speakers. This can be difficult because native speakers often speak quickly and use slang or idiomatic expressions. However, listening every day can help you get used to the natural flow of conversation. Let me give you an example of how my friend Laura improved her listening skills. Laura had been learning English for a few years, but she found it hard to keep up with conversations, especially when they were fast. She didn't know what to do, but she decided to make a simple change. Every morning, Laura would listen to an English podcast while she was preparing breakfast. She started with shorter podcasts, about 10 to 15 minutes long, and she focused on understanding the main ideas rather than catching every single word. At first, it was a challenge, and there were times when she didn't understand much, but she stuck with it. After a few weeks, Laura began to notice that she could understand more of the conversation, even when the speaker was talking quickly. She also got better at picking up new vocabulary and phrases, which helped her understand other English speakers better. What's the key to Laura's success? Consistency. By listening every morning, even for just 10 minutes, Laura helped her brain get used to the rhythm of English speech. She learned to identify common phrases and expressions, which made her feel more confident when speaking with others. This is why listening is so important. It helps you get used to how English sounds in real conversations. The more you listen, the better you'll understand. So, whether you're listening to a podcast, an audiobook, or even the news, make sure to include listening practice in your daily routine. Another great way to practice listening is by using videos. For example, my friend John loves to watch YouTube videos in English every morning. He started by watching short videos about things he was interested in, like technology and business. At first, it was difficult because the speakers were talking quickly. But John didn't give up. Over time, he began to catch more of what they were saying and even started picking up new words and phrases. Watching videos is a great way to practice because you get to hear natural speech and see the context in which certain phrases are used. One tip John recommends is to watch the same video more than once. The first time, just listen and try to understand the main idea. The second time, focus on the words or phrases that were difficult. The third time, try to repeat some of the sentences aloud. This technique helps you improve both your listening and speaking skills, and you'll get better at understanding and using English. Now, let's talk about another key habit that can help you improve your English. Setting goals. And tracking your progress is essential. This is something my friend Emma did when she wanted to take her English skills to the next level. Every morning, she set a small, achievable goal. For example, one day she might set a goal to learn 5 new vocabulary words and use them in sentences by the end of the day. The next day, her goal might be to listen to a 15-minute podcast and write a summary of it. Setting goals is important because it gives you something to focus on. It also helps you stay motivated. When you meet your goal, you feel accomplished, and that motivates you to keep going. Emma kept track of her progress in a notebook. Every week, she would look back at the goals she had achieved and see how much she had improved. This kept her on track and made her feel proud of her efforts. To wrap up, here are some more ideas to help you improve your English in the mornings. Set small, achievable goals every day. It could be something simple like learning new vocabulary or writing a few sentences. Use passive listening. Listen to podcasts or English news while doing other tasks like making breakfast or cleaning. Watch videos in English. Focus on understanding the main idea first, then watch again to pick up details. Read a little every morning. Even a short article or blog post can help expand your vocabulary and improve your reading skills. Track your progress. Keep a notebook to track your daily goals and see how much you've improved. All of these activities, when practiced regularly, will help you improve your listening, speaking, and writing skills in English. Just remember, it's not about doing everything perfectly, but about making consistent efforts every day. As we continue, I want to share some more stories of learners who improve their English by including simple yet powerful practices in their morning routines. These habits can really make a difference, and I'll show you how you can use them to improve your English every day. Take Simon, for example. He had been studying English for a while, but he felt like something was missing. He could read and understand most things, and his writing wasn't too bad. But when it came to listening to real-life conversations, he found it difficult. Simon realized that part of the problem was he wasn't practicing enough with real, everyday English. So Simon decided to change his approach. Every morning while making coffee, he began listening to English podcasts that focused on real-life situations. These weren't podcasts about grammar or vocabulary rules, but rather about normal conversations, just like the ones you might hear in a cafe or at work. Simon chose podcasts where the host spoke casually and used slang or phrases people actually use in day-to-day life. This simple habit of listening to podcasts about everyday conversations helped Simon in several ways. First, he started to get used to the speed and rhythm of natural English. Listening to podcasts also helped him pick up new words and phrases that weren't in his textbooks. Over time, Simon found that he was able to understand more when he listened to people talk in real situations, whether it was a friend or someone he met while traveling. If you want to improve your listening skills just like Simon did, try listening to podcasts or watch videos that feature normal conversational English. This can help you understand what people say in real life and teach you how to use phrases you might not find in formal lessons. By listening for just 10 to 15 minutes every morning, you'll see an improvement in your understanding of everyday English. Another powerful morning routine is what my friend Lily did to improve her English vocabulary. Lily always felt like her vocabulary was limited. She could understand basic conversations, but when it came to expressing herself in different situations, she didn't always have the right words. So Lily decided to set herself a challenge. Every morning, she would pick a theme for the day. One day she might choose travel, and the next day, business. Then she'd spend about 15 minutes reading an article related to that theme. After reading, she would write down 5 new words she didn't know and look up their meanings. Once she understood the words, Lily would try to use them in her sentences during the day. For example, one morning, Lily read an article about traveling to new countries. She learned words like passport, itinerary, and customs. Then she made sentences with these words like, I need to check my passport before my trip, or my itinerary includes visiting museums in the city. This method of focusing on specific topics each day helped Lily expand her vocabulary in a more focused way. She wasn't just learning random words, but instead learning words that were relevant to the things she was interested in. And because she used them in sentences, she was more likely to remember them. If you want to try something similar, pick a topic that interests you and learn 5 new words each day. It could be anything from food to technology to sports. The key is to make these new words a part of your daily conversation. The more you use them, the better your vocabulary will become. Now let's talk about reading. I know it might sound simple, but reading every morning can be one of the best ways to improve your English skills. And don't worry, it doesn't have to be difficult or boring. You can start with short stories, articles, or even fun blog posts. Reading every day helps you improve your understanding of grammar, sentence structure, and vocabulary. Let me tell you the story of Jack. Jack was an intermediate English learner, and like many learners, he struggled with understanding sentence structure in English. He had studied grammar, but he still found it hard to apply the rules in real conversations. Jack knew that to improve, he needed to spend more time reading and paying attention to how sentences were formed in context. Every morning, Jack would wake up 15 minutes earlier to read a short article or a news story in English. He focused on reading at a natural pace without worrying too much about understanding every single word. Instead, he focused on understanding the main idea and paying attention to how the sentences were constructed. After reading, Jack would go back and pick out a few interesting phrases and try to use them later in conversation. This reading habit made a huge difference for Jack. He started to recognize patterns in sentence structure, which made it easier for him to speak and write more naturally. Plus, reading articles about things he enjoyed, like sports and technology, helped him stay motivated to keep learning. If you want to improve your reading skills, try setting aside a few minutes each morning to read something in English. Choose topics that interest you so that you'll enjoy it more. And remember, don't get frustrated if you don't understand everything. Just focus on the main idea, and you'll improve over time. Speaking of sentence structure, let's move on to grammar. A lot of people struggle with grammar, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed when you try to learn all the rules. But don't worry, you don't have to spend hours studying grammar every day. Instead, you can use small habits to practice. Take Emma, for example. She wanted to improve her grammar, but she didn't have the time to study for hours each day. So she set a simple goal: to practice one grammar point every morning. Every day, Emma would take 5 minutes to review one grammar rule. For example, one day she might practice the past simple tense, and the next day she would review the present perfect tense. To make this practice more fun, Emma would write short sentences using the grammar rule she was focusing on. For example, when practicing the past simple tense, Emma might write, "I visited Paris last year," or "He worked late yesterday." By doing this every day, Emma improved her grammar without feeling overwhelmed. You can try the same approach. Pick one grammar rule to focus on each day and practice it with simple sentences. Over time, you'll start to see improvement in how you use grammar in both speaking and writing. Now, let's talk about speaking practice again. I know we've mentioned this before, but it's so important that it's worth repeating. If you really want to improve your English, you have to speak it regularly. And this doesn't always mean talking to someone else. You can practice speaking by yourself as well. Tom, a good friend of mine, was a beginner learner when he first started focusing on speaking. He had always felt nervous about speaking in front of others, so he avoided it. But then he decided to try a new approach: speaking to himself in the mirror. Every morning, Tom would stand in front of the mirror and talk about his plans for the day. He would also practice introducing himself and saying simple sentences. At first, Tom felt awkward, but over time he got more comfortable. Speaking in front of the mirror helped him see his body language and hear how he sounded. He became more aware of his pronunciation and tone, and that helped him speak more confidently when he interacted with others. If you're hesitant about speaking to others in English, try speaking to yourself first. You can practice your sentences, check your pronunciation, and become more confident with speaking over time. In addition to speaking, listening is another key skill. And if you're someone who struggles with understanding different accents or fast speakers, one of the best things you can do is practice listening to English with different accents. Sarah, who lives in the UK, wanted to get better at understanding American English. So she made a plan. Every morning, while getting ready, Sarah would listen to American podcasts, even though she found the accents difficult to understand at first. Over time, she got used to the rhythm and flow of American English. She found that listening to different accents helped her become more flexible in understanding various English speakers. So, if you want to improve your listening skills, try listening to English from different countries, such as the UK, the US, Australia, or Canada. This will help you become more adaptable when listening to English speakers from different parts of the world. When it comes to improving your English, the key is consistency. Each small action you take every day will slowly build up and lead to big improvements over time. The idea is to find easy and enjoyable activities that you can fit into your morning routine. That way, you can practice without feeling overwhelmed. Now, let's talk about writing. Writing may not always be the first thing people think about when they try to improve their English, but it is actually one of the most effective ways to practice. Writing helps you think about the language, organize your thoughts, and use the grammar and vocabulary you are learning. And the great thing is that you can start with simple, everyday writing exercises that won't take up too much of your time. Take the example of Jack, a student who struggled with writing in English. At first, Jack was afraid of making mistakes, so he avoided writing altogether. But then he realized that writing was a great way to practice and improve. So he decided to set a goal for himself. Every morning, he would write a short journal entry about something that happened the day before. At first, Jack's entries were simple. For example, he would write, "Yesterday I went to the store. I bought some bread and fruit." But over time, he started adding more details. He wrote about his thoughts, his plans, and even his feelings. By writing regularly, Jack improved his sentence structure and vocabulary, and he began to feel more confident expressing himself in writing. If you want to try this method, start with small daily journal entries. Write about what you did yesterday, or what you plan to do today. Don't worry too much about making mistakes. Just focus on getting your thoughts down in English. Over time, you'll notice that your writing becomes more natural and fluent. Talking to yourself is another habit that can significantly improve your English. While it might feel a bit strange at first, it's a powerful way to practice speaking. And you don't need anyone else to help you. You can do it alone. Many successful language learners talk to themselves in English to practice their speaking and pronunciation. Take Lucy, for example. She was living in a country where English wasn't spoken much, so she didn't have many opportunities to speak with other people. But instead of waiting for the perfect moment to speak, Lucy decided to talk to herself every morning. While she made breakfast or got dressed, she would describe what she was doing in English. She might say, "I'm making a cup of tea. First, I put the water in the kettle. Now, I'm waiting for the water to boil." By talking to herself in English every day, Lucy improved her fluency. She practiced her pronunciation and sentence structure in real-life situations. It wasn't just about saying words, it was about forming sentences naturally, as if she were talking to another person. If you want to try talking to yourself, it's easy. Just talk about your daily routine, what you're doing, or what you plan to do. You can practice describing your actions in detail, or even practice having short conversations with yourself. Over time, you'll become more comfortable and confident when speaking to others. Shadowing is another technique that can help you improve your speaking and listening skills. Shadowing means listening to someone speak and trying to repeat exactly what they say, word for word, at the same time. This technique is a great way to improve both your listening comprehension and speaking fluency. Let's take James as an example. James had always struggled with understanding spoken English, especially when people spoke quickly. He decided to start shadowing by listening to short English videos or podcasts every morning. After listening to a segment, James would pause the audio and repeat what he had just heard, trying to match the pronunciation and rhythm of the speaker. He did this for 10 to 15 minutes every morning, repeating each sentence until he felt comfortable. At first, it was challenging, but with time, James became better at understanding fast speech, and his pronunciation improved significantly. The key to shadowing is consistency. If you practice this technique every day, even for just a few minutes, you'll gradually improve your speaking and listening skills. You can try shadowing too. Choose an audio or video that's at your level and listen to a short segment. After you listen, try repeating the words exactly as you hear them. Focus on your pronunciation, intonation, and speed. Over time, this will help you sound more natural and improve your ability to understand fast English speakers. Another great practice is to focus on intonation and stress in English. Many learners find that they can understand individual words, but they still struggle with understanding the rhythm of the language. English has a specific rhythm that includes stress on certain words or syllables. By practicing this, you'll sound more fluent and natural in your speech. Let's take Sarah, another English learner, who was struggling with intonation. She found it difficult to understand native speakers because they didn't always pronounce words the way she expected. Sarah realized that learning how to use stress and intonation correctly would help her understand English better. To improve, Sarah began practicing with short English songs and poems. She listened carefully to how native speakers emphasize different words in the sentences. She would try to mimic the rhythm and stress patterns by speaking along with the audio. Even though she didn't understand every word at first, Sarah found that by focusing on the intonation, she could start to understand more about the natural flow of English. If you want to improve your intonation, listen to English songs or short stories. Pay attention to how words are stressed and try to mimic the rhythm. You can even practice with simple sentences like, "I'm going to the store," and change the emphasis on different words to see how it changes the meaning. Visualization is another helpful tool that many learners use to practice their English. This technique involves imagining situations where you are using English and practicing in your mind. It may sound unusual, but it's a great way to prepare yourself for real-life conversations. For example, Emma used visualization to prepare for a meeting at work, where she had to speak in English. Every morning, she would sit quietly for a few minutes and imagine herself speaking English in a meeting. She would think about what she might say, how she might respond to questions, and how she could make sure she understood others. This practice helped Emma feel more confident when the actual meeting came. You can try visualization too. Imagine yourself having a conversation in English, whether it's ordering food at a restaurant or discussing your plans with a colleague. By visualizing the conversation, you'll be better prepared when it happens in real life. Now, let's not forget about using language apps. While it's important to practice real-life English, language apps can also help improve specific areas of your English. Apps like Duolingo, Babbel, or Memrise allow you to practice vocabulary, grammar, and listening skills in short, manageable sessions. Tom started using a language app every morning for just 10 minutes before work. He would complete a few exercises on the app to refresh his vocabulary and grammar. The app also provided him with quick listening exercises, which helped him improve his ability to understand spoken English. If you're short on time but still want to practice, apps are a great way to stay consistent. Even just 10 minutes a day can help reinforce what you're learning and keep you on track. Finally, let's talk about setting goals. If you want to make real progress with your English, setting specific goals can help you stay motivated. It's easy to get discouraged if you don't have a clear idea of what you're working toward. Lucy, for example, set a goal to be able to speak in English for 30 minutes without stopping. Every morning, she would practice speaking to herself or a language partner, focusing on increasing the amount of time she could speak. After a few weeks, Lucy reached her goal, and she felt much more confident when speaking English. To set your own goals, think about what you want to achieve in your English learning journey. Whether it's improving your listening, speaking, writing, or vocabulary, setting small, achievable goals will help you stay motivated. You can even track your progress with a language journal or app. The important thing is to keep practicing every day. Even on days when you don't feel like it, just spending a few minutes on your morning routine can make a huge difference in your overall progress. One method that can help improve both listening and speaking skills is through language exchanges. This is a fantastic way to practice real-life conversations with native English speakers. It's also a great way to make friends who are learning your language in return. Language exchanges can happen in person, but they are often done online these days through platforms like HelloTalk or Tandem. You can talk to a language partner every morning, where one person speaks English and the other speaks your native language. This provides a balanced, reciprocal way to practice and helps both learners improve their skills. For example, David, an intermediate English learner, was struggling to speak fluently. He wanted to practice speaking with a real person, but didn't have any English-speaking friends nearby. So, he joined a language exchange program. Every morning, for 15 minutes, he would speak to someone in English, and then they would switch to his native language. This helped David feel more confident speaking because he got immediate feedback. He learned common expressions, slang, and other conversational techniques that he wouldn't find in textbooks. If you have a busy morning routine, you can still incorporate listening practice without adding much time to your schedule. While you're making breakfast, cleaning, or commuting, try to listen to podcasts, audiobooks, or even news articles in English. This will expose you to different accents, speeds, and types of language used in real conversations. The best part is that you can do it while you're doing something else. You don't have to sit still to practice English. Take Anna's morning routine, for example. Anna has a busy life. She works full-time and has a family to take care of. But she decided to incorporate listening practice during the 20 minutes it took her to drive to work. She began listening to English podcasts about topics she was interested in, like cooking and fitness. Slowly, she started noticing improvements in her listening comprehension. She understood more of what people were saying, even when they spoke quickly. Listening while multitasking like Anna did can be an excellent way to increase your exposure to English. As you listen, pay attention to new words and phrases that you hear. If you can, pause and repeat them to practice pronunciation. Doing this every day will help your brain get used to hearing English in a natural conversational way, and you'll begin to pick up on expressions and accents that you might not encounter in textbooks. Now, let's talk about watching short English videos every morning. Videos are another great resource for practicing your listening skills. Whether it's a YouTube tutorial, a TED Talk, or even a short interview, watching videos exposes you to real unscripted English. The key to using videos is to watch with the intention of picking up new vocabulary, learning pronunciation, and understanding the context in which certain phrases or expressions are used. George, an intermediate learner, started watching short, easy-to-understand videos on YouTube while having his morning coffee. He watched videos on simple topics like how to bake cookies or how to plant flowers. While watching, George would focus on listening to the way the speaker used everyday vocabulary. He would repeat words and sentences out loud after watching the video. After a few weeks of practicing with videos, he felt that his listening comprehension and vocabulary expanded. He could now follow English conversations much more easily and understand what was going on in fast-paced videos. A good tip is to use subtitles when you start. This way, you can follow along with what's being said, and you can pause the video whenever you hear a word or phrase you don't understand. Write it down, look it up, and try to use it in your own sentences later. Over time, this method will help your listening skills, as you're not only hearing words but also seeing them written and understanding their context. You might also want to consider practicing with language games. Language games like those on Duolingo or Memrise can make your learning feel like a fun challenge rather than a chore. These games offer interactive ways to improve grammar, vocabulary, and even listening comprehension. The best part? You can track your progress and challenge yourself to improve each day. Lily, another intermediate English learner, made language games part of her morning routine. Before going to work, she would play Duolingo for 15 minutes every day. She made it her goal to complete a level before leaving the house. The best part was that the app used a variety of exercises, matching words with pictures, typing out sentences, and listening to audio and repeating what was said. By playing each morning, Lily was able to improve her vocabulary and grammar without feeling like she was doing something boring. If you have a similar routine, you could try these apps too. Just 10 to 15 minutes a day can really make a difference. You'll be practicing listening and writing skills while also testing your knowledge of new vocabulary and grammar points. And the best part is that it's all gamified, so you can have fun while you learn. Another powerful tool that helps with both listening and speaking is shadowing with short stories. Shadowing doesn't always have to involve fast-paced or difficult content. You can shadow simple stories or everyday conversations to help you practice the rhythm and intonation of English. This is also a great way to practice your pronunciation, as you try to match the speaker's pace and tone. Tom, for instance, is a learner who loves reading books in English. He found that shadowing was a useful technique when reading short stories or listening to audio versions of books. Every morning, Tom would read a page or two from an English novel while listening to the audiobook version at the same time. He would pause the audio after each sentence and repeat what was said, focusing on pronunciation and fluency. This helped him become more confident when speaking English in conversations. Shadowing works because it helps train your brain to think in English. You're not just listening to the words, you're learning how to say them naturally. By repeating sentences and practicing the rhythm, you can sound more like a native speaker, and your overall comprehension improves as well. Start with short stories or even daily conversations, and try to match the pace and intonation of the speaker. Building your vocabulary every morning is also an important part of your language learning journey. The more words you know, the easier it is to understand what people are saying and express yourself clearly. To build vocabulary, you can use flashcards, language apps, or even keep a notebook where you write down new words you encounter every day. Try to review and use these words and sentences to help you remember them. Take Sarah's approach. Every morning, she would write down 5 new words she heard the day before and make a sentence with each word. She used a mix of real-life experiences and online resources to find the words she wanted to learn. Over time, her vocabulary grew, and she became more comfortable using new words in conversations. You can start by learning 3 to 5 new words each day. Write them down in a notebook and review them in the morning. Use these words in conversations with others or practice writing sentences with them. Over time, you'll build a strong vocabulary that will make both listening and speaking easier. Finally, let's talk about reading aloud. This simple practice can have a huge impact on both your listening and speaking skills. Reading aloud helps with pronunciation, fluency, and understanding how English sentences are structured. It's also a good way to practice speaking without pressure, especially if you're not speaking with others every day. Emma made reading aloud a daily habit in the morning. She would read a short article or a chapter from a book aloud while drinking her coffee. Sometimes she would even record herself to listen later and check for mistakes. Emma found that reading, Aloud helped her improve her pronunciation and sentence flow. By hearing her own voice, she could identify areas where she needed more practice, like stressing the right words or making her speech sound smoother. Try to read aloud each morning. It doesn't matter if it's a news article, a short story, or even a recipe. Just pick something you enjoy and speak it out loud. Pay attention to how you say each word and try to imitate the natural rhythm and stress of the sentences. With these various methods, you're slowly building a comprehensive approach to improving your English. From journaling and speaking to listening, reading, and vocabulary building, every action you take will bring you closer to your goal of fluency. So, don't forget to stay consistent, even on busy mornings. Every little bit of practice counts. Let's continue expanding your morning routine to make your English practice even more effective and enjoyable. Remember, each small step you take every morning adds up over time and leads to significant improvement in your language skills. Now let's dive into some additional activities that can help you reach your English learning goals. One powerful way to practice is through contextual learning. This means learning English through real-life situations that are relevant to you. For example, if you're someone who enjoys cooking, you can start by looking for English language recipes and cooking videos. When you watch or read instructions in English, not only are you learning new vocabulary related to cooking, but you're also getting familiar with how native speakers describe everyday tasks. Let's take John, who loves to cook, as an example. Every morning, John watches short cooking videos in English before he starts his breakfast routine. He listens carefully to the ingredients and instructions being spoken. Over time, he noticed he began to understand the terms used in recipes more easily. Words like sauté, chop, and whisk became part of his everyday vocabulary. Even more importantly, when John started making dishes from those recipes, he could describe the steps in English without needing to pause and think too much. This improved his ability to both listen and speak about a topic he was passionate about. Another fantastic practice is writing in English every morning. Writing is an excellent way to reinforce what you've learned and test your understanding of new vocabulary and grammar. You don't need to write long essays. Just a few short sentences or a paragraph every day will help. You could write about your plans for the day, a summary of a book or video you watched, or even a personal story. The key is consistency. Example, let's consider Rachel. Every morning she spends just 10 minutes writing about what she plans to do that day. She doesn't focus too much on making the sentences perfect, but instead on expressing herself clearly. Over time, Rachel noticed that her writing started to flow better, and her vocabulary and grammar improved. Writing regularly also helped her with speaking because she felt more confident putting her thoughts. Writing in the morning is a great habit because it allows you to express ideas in English without the pressure of conversation. You can take your time to choose the right words and reflect on what you've learned. Try keeping a journal in English, where you write 1 or 2 paragraphs daily. If you're not sure how to start, use prompts like "What did I do yesterday?" or "How do I feel today?" Flashcards are another amazing tool to improve both your listening and writing skills. Flashcards can be a fun and efficient way to learn new words and phrases. The best part is that you can make them personalized by including the words that you come across in your daily routine or while listening to podcasts and videos. You can even use online tools like Anki or Quizlet to create digital flashcards and practice anytime during your day. Tom started using flashcards every morning as part of his routine. He would create flashcards with new words he learned the day before. He also added example sentences to the flashcards to better understand the word in context. By reviewing the cards each morning for 10 minutes, Tom was able to reinforce his vocabulary and build long-term memory. He also started writing his own sentences using the new words. The result? His ability to recall and use words improved, and he became much more confident when speaking. You can use flashcards to review vocabulary that you've learned from books, podcasts, or conversations. If you're unsure about a word, write it down and create your own sentence. Over time, you'll start noticing that you naturally use those words in conversations without needing to think too hard. Don't forget to use visual aids to strengthen your language skills. This could be as simple as surrounding yourself with English language materials. For example, you could stick post-it notes on objects around your home with their English names. This is a simple way to create a learning environment without putting in too much extra effort. Every time you see a note, you're reinforcing the word and its meaning in your mind. Liam tried this method to improve his vocabulary. Every morning, he would take 10 minutes to label items in his house with their English names. He put labels on everything from his refrigerator to his car keys. Over time, Liam started thinking in English when he saw those objects. His vocabulary grew naturally without him needing to memorize words through a textbook. This is a great strategy if you want to immerse yourself in English throughout your day. The more you see English words in your environment, the more likely you are to remember them. Let's talk about reading the news in English. This is a wonderful way to stay informed and improve your language skills. News articles often use clear, everyday English that can help improve your vocabulary and comprehension. Whether you read about politics, science, or global events, you're sure to encounter new words and phrases that will expand your English abilities. Plus, reading the news can expose you to formal and informal writing styles, which will further help you understand different forms of English. For instance, Olivia likes to start her morning by reading an English news website while having breakfast. She selects articles that interest her, and if she doesn't understand a word, she writes it down. Later in the day, she checks its meaning and tries to use it in a sentence. By doing this every day, she started understanding English news articles much better. She also found that reading the news gave her something to talk about with others, improving her speaking and listening skills when discussing current events. If you want to try this, choose news websites that provide simple language, or look for podcasts and news outlets aimed at English learners. You can even follow social media accounts that post news in English. The key is to keep up the habit daily, even if it's just for 10 to 15 minutes in the morning. Incorporating speaking with others every morning is another essential way to practice. This could be done in a casual setting, like chatting with a friend, family member, or a colleague. The important thing is to speak regularly in English so that you become comfortable with conversation. If you don't have English speakers in your circle, try language exchange platforms as I mentioned earlier, or talk to someone online. If you have a partner or spouse, try to speak to them in English during your morning routine. Let's look at how Ben made speaking part of his morning. Every morning, Ben would have a 10-minute conversation with his wife in English. They would talk about simple topics, what they planned for the day, what they watched the night before, or anything that was on their mind. The key was that they made speaking a priority every day. Over time, Ben found that he started speaking more fluently and with less hesitation. This helped him feel much more confident in other situations, like when talking to his colleagues or meeting new people. Don't worry if you make mistakes while speaking. It's a normal part of learning. What matters is that you keep practicing and get more comfortable speaking out loud. Even speaking to yourself counts as practice. Now, let's discuss mindful listening. This method involves paying attention to the sounds and rhythm of English. When you're listening to something, focus on how the words are pronounced and how sentences are formed. Try to imitate the speaker's tone and pacing. You can also practice this with a podcast or audiobook, just like other activities I've mentioned. Mindful listening helps improve your pronunciation, and also helps you become more comfortable with how English sounds. Sarah adopted this practice in the morning. She would listen carefully